Hello everyone, my name is Tom and this is Journeyman Outfitter. Today we're talking about the JMO side tables. Now there are a few generations of this side table. This particular is the original, which is going to be 15 inches deep by 12 inches wide. And it's going to have two drawers and a side compartment either on the left or the right hand side. So depending on the version you get, it may look a slightly bit different, but in general it should look very similar. Now, what we're going to go over is general operation. So once you take it out of the box, what you're going to expect and how to operate it, along with general details about if for some reason you have an issue with the lock or you need just more information about operation. That's what we're here for. So let's jump into it. Firstly, when you get it out of the box, you're going to remove all of the packaging material. And on the top, you're going to see some cellophane and there's going to be a label that says place key here. What that's for is one of these keys, or the white key cards. Either will work just fine. What you're going to do is take that key, swipe it over the area in question. You're going to hear one quick beep, followed by the door kicking open. If for some reason this door doesn't kick open, all you're going to do is simply press in on the door and then it'll pop open. The door can be affected by moisture as well as in transit. So if it is not operating as you see in this video, please feel free to reach out and I'll be happy to help. Inside this compartment, you'll see the lift shock, the lock pin, and the lock itself hiding up underneath the top of the table. This particular one has a magnetic mount inside, and then yours will come along with an LED light to which you can place either up in the top here, in the back pocket, or up near the front. The front's a little harder because the lift shock gets in the way, so usually put it opposite of the shock. So if the shock's here for the right side, you put it in the back. And if the shock, of course, on the other side is the opposite direction, you just place it on the opposite side of the compartment. Now that being said, the lock itself comes with 3 fail-safes, which is really nice. Firstly, when you unlock it, you're going to hear one quick beep, as you just did, followed by the pin retracting. And then you'll be able to get into the side compartment. If you place the key and you hear the lock do a long beep, that's the indicator letting you know that, hey, the batteries are going low. Inside the box, there is an instruction booklet, which will identify these operations and what they mean. Now, if the batteries for some reason do run dead, the lock is set to default to the unlock position, which means you may come home one day and the side table looks like this, which just means that the batteries may have died. To test this, you just simply try to close the door. If you don't hear the pin latch, that means that the lock did run out of battery, and that's why the door is open. So let's jump into how to change those batteries, which is really easy. Now, firstly, you need to get to the lock itself, but before we do any of that, I'm going to show you one more fail-safe, which is really important to know. In the box that you received, you will find yourself this cable, which is a battery bypass cable. What the intent of this is for is to plug into a wall outlet like this, or a laptop, or a secondary power source in order to power the lock enough to get you into the compartment. So if you come back and this is closed and you're waving the key over it and you're not hearing anything, this could mean that the lock has failed. This is very rare. I've only seen it twice out of all the locks that I've used. But if it does happen, let's show you how to work with it. So in the box, you'll have the instructions, which has pictures on how to do this, but this is just a more direct video on how to do it. You'll need yourself a Phillips head screwdriver. If you go under the front edge of the side table, you'll see a screw. Simply just going to loosen this until it stops. And then that will allow you to remove the drawer. That easy. You'll see this is what we actually loosened. It's just a pin that rises and falls as you tighten and loosen. And that allows you to get in to the interior of the compartment. Now what you'll be doing is taking this bypass cable and plugging it into the lock itself, which I'll show you now. Now that we've lit up the interior, up top you'll see there's a little cable bit. What that little cable bit is that plugs right into that. So let me show you how that works. And just like that, now you see the cable is plugged into the lock. And then this is the wall block that you would plug into an outlet. Or you can use any battery or power source rather. So you could use an external battery pack for charging a mobile device. You could also use a laptop or anything that plugs into USB. Once you plug that in to power, that will provide power to the lock, and then you'll be able to wave the key over, and then open comes the door, which then gives you access to the compartment. This is just a final fail-safe if for some reason there's an issue going forward into operation of the side table. But let's jump into how to swap those batteries. So what you're going to do is simply get the side table to the open position. This, of course, can either be done with the key as it comes out of the box, with the battery bypass cable, or again, if the lock has defaulted to the unlock position, it will already be in this state. So what you need to do is get the door open all the way so that we can get to the lock here. The way that's done is this lift shock has to be popped off the pin. Now this can be easier said than done, but I'll show you kind of the general way I always do it. You take a screwdriver. In this case, we're just going to use a normal Phillips head, and you're going to insert it right behind the pin. So if you look at that, that's kind of how I've got it inserted. And all I'm going to do is pry back on it until it pops off. Now, you can take this shock piece off, this little metal piece, which is how it's intended to operate. But removing that can lead to it popping off completely, which then renders the lift shock unusable. So I'll show you one more time. So there you see it's in normal operation. So we're going to take the screwdriver right behind the lock or the pin, and we're just going to pry back until that lift shock pops off. You can't really hurt the lift shock or the pin. You just don't want to bend this piece. That's kind of the only thing I would warn you about. So inside the compartment, if we look up at the lock, you're going to see a little door there. Now, this door is going to have a little screw on it, and I'll show you how that looks outside of the cabinet because it's going to be way easier rather than trying to see up inside. So this is what the lock looks like, and this is the screw I was speaking of, which you'll be able to get a screwdriver to, and you're simply just going to remove this one silver screw. Once that's removed, you can then open the door, and that reveals the batteries, to which you can remove and replace. There's enough room to remove and replace these without taking the lock off. So you're going to see 4 screws, one on each corner. I can't stress enough how important it is not to remove those screws. If you do, the door will not latch shut anymore. Now, I do offer a warranty for you to pay shipping back to me and for me to get the side table or any piece of furniture back in full operation and then ship it back to you. But again, it does cost shipping to and from my location, but I'm always happy to do that or try to walk you through on the phone. Then once you get everything put back together, you'll put the door on, you'll go ahead and put your screw back in, and then you'll be ready to put your lock back on, or your pin back in. So the way you're going to do that is just raise the door up, grab your lock pin, or your lift shock pin, and simply press it back together. And that will get you back into full operation. Now, if you do, again, have questions about this, please feel free to reach out. You can always contact me directly via our contact number. If you go to journeymanoutfitter.com, you'll be able to see that information on how to get in touch with me via our shop phone. But I'm always available and happy to help. And again, thank you for purchasing one of my pieces of furniture, and we'll see you soon. Bye now.